Work with.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the UW System Board of Regents meeting. Megan, please call the roll.
Regent President Walsh.
Here.
Regent Vice President Bogus.
Here.
Regent Adams.
Here.
Regent Atwell.
Here.
Regent Brinkus.
Here.
Regent Cologne.
Here.
Regent Jones.
Here.
Regent Cruiser.
Here.
Regent Manydeeds. Regent Miller.
Here.
Regent Peterson.
Here.
Regent Prince.
Here.
Regent Rye.
Here.
Regent Stetton.
Here.
Regent Tyler.
Here.
Regent Underley.
Here.
Regent Walks.
Here.
And Regent Weatherly.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. As we consider items on today's agenda, are there board members who wish to declare any conflicts of interest regarding today's open session agenda? Okay, seeing none, let's proceed. I'd like to thank Chancellor Money and his team for their warm hospitality in hosting this meeting. You have us every year and you always manage to make it interesting and a great occasion for us at System and on the board. My pleasure to introduce the newest members of the Board of Regents recently appointed by Governor Evers. First, welcoming Jim Cruiser. Jim comes to us with more than 3 decades of experience in public service. He served as Kenosha County Executive for 14 years from 2008 to 2022, and previously represented Kenosha in the Wisconsin State Assembly for 15 years from 93 to 2008. A first-generation college graduate, he earned 2 degrees from UW-Parkside, his bachelor's as well as a master's degree in public administration. During his time at UW-Parkside, he interned for then Kenosha County Executive John Collins and was then hired as a full-time administrative assistant in the county executive's office after earning his master's in public administration. Jim, we look forward to working with you. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure, I would absolutely. I'd like to thank.
Could I ask you first, move your mic closer. The old radio reporter once again requests. Okay, go
Actually,
ahead, Jim.
They teach you to just project from the diaphragm, but I'll use the microphone. I want to thank you. I'd like to thank Governor Evers for appointing me. I truly means a lot to be on the Board of Regents. It's an honor to serve our state and serve with such a distinguished group of people here today who sit on the board and do very important work for people we most likely will never meet. I've been retired about a year. I was a bit surprised when I got the call, and it was quite enjoyable when I did. And my bride, Jane, is really pleased that I'm taking this gig. I guess I have a little too much time at home sometimes. We have 2 sons. One graduated from UW-Madison. The other one graduated from UW-Stevens Point. I want to thank the past and present members. They're doing quite well. So thank you for all the fine work you've done. I'm a first-generation college student. I wanted to reemphasize that and received my undergraduate and my master's from UW-Parkside, which gave me the opportunity to learn and to find my passion and live it every day. So from legislator to county executive, I've really been able to do that. So I truly appreciate the members that I've already met. They've been quite encouraging. The staff is top notch in getting me settled in the last month and made me feel very welcome. Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you very much, Regent Cruiser. Next, I'd like to welcome Evan Brinkus, who joins us from UW Green Bay. He's the first student regent from UW Green Bay. So you're very special in multiple ways. He's pursuing a major in First Nations studies and a minor in mathematics. He's currently working under contract at the United Nations Oneida Language Immersion School. In the future, he wants to use what he's learned to create an online platform for First Nations to document, access, update, and hear their language while providing helpful tools to Indigenous educators to aid in language revitalization in their classroom. Evan is involved in UWGB's Student Government Association, the Intertribal Student Council, and the Mathematics Club. Welcome aboard, Evan. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. I would have to say thank you to everyone who has been so welcoming and so warm in congratulating me in this position. I would have never expected something like this to happen in my lifetime. So I'm incredibly grateful to all of you. I don't have as much to say since but I really do appreciate all of you and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Evan. Finally, Regent Rodney Posh has recently completed his term on the Wisconsin Technical College System Board and is therefore also stepped down from this board. We'll see Rodney again at an upcoming meeting for his official farewell. In his place, we are joined today by someone who is for many of us a familiar colleague, Mark Tyler, who has twice previously served as the Tech College's system representative on the Board of Regents, first from 2011 to 2013, and again from 2015 to 2019. In addition to serving on the WTCS board as a member and past president, Mark is founder and chairman of OEM Fabricators Incorporated, a contract manufacturer in Western Wisconsin. Welcome back, Mark. Would you like to say a few words?
Always. Thank you, Regent President Walsh. So for some of the old timers, I probably am reminiscent of that saran wrap on the end of your finger that just won't go away. Our timing, my presence here in the next two meetings, our timing is such that the gubernatorial appointments are in May and elections for officers are in July. Rodney graciously stepped down to make way for the next appointment. And so that's why I'm serving this 2 years or there's two meetings. I want to thank everybody for the warm welcome that I've received. I look forward to working with all of you, whether it's for 2 meetings or longer. I really appreciate the warm welcome that I've received. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to have you back at the table. And President Rothman, I believe you have a few introductions as well.
I do. Thank you very much and good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome officially UW-Platteville's 15th Chancellor, Tammy Avetovich. Tammy, who had served as interim chancellor since June of last year, was unanimously approved in mid-April by this board to lead the university going forward. She had previously served as provost and vice chancellor of academic affairs at Platteville, beginning in May of 2020, when she led the transition to alternative learning methods due to the COVID-19 pandemic and initiated an academic strategic plan that now guides the university. Before joining UW-Platteville, Tammy served in 2 positions at Wayne State College in Wayne, Nebraska, as Dean of the School of Natural and Social Sciences, and prior to that, Department Chair of the Department of Human Health, Performance, and Sport. Tammy is a first-generation college graduate. She earned a bachelor's degree in biology and a master's degree and a PhD in exercise physiology from the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. Tammy, welcome, congratulations, and would you like to say a few words?
There we go. I would thank you, President Rothman. I just want to share that I am so grateful for the opportunity to lead the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. As many of you know, and those who are on the search committee, I wanted this job. And I want to thank Regent Peterson as she led that search and anybody else that was involved. I'm just humbled to lead the university. We have so many great people on that campus, and that's what makes us special. So I'm thrilled about that. Secondly, recently I was reflecting upon what it was to be an interim, and I wrote about it. And trust me, nobody's ever going to read that. It's my own personal journal. But I looked up the definition of interim and it says in the meantime, and none of you ever treated me like I was in this role in the meantime. You were so very supportive, and I want to thank Jay and his staff. I want to thank the Regents in their support for those 10 months and 24 days that I was an interim. And then finally, I'm in complete denial that this is Debbie Ford's last meeting with us. She was my mentor, or what she calls my tour mentor. And I don't think I could have gotten through this last year without you. So with that, I am honored to serve, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Tammy. I would also like to introduce Scott Menke, who has agreed to serve as UW-Parkside's interim chancellor following the departure of Chancellor Debbie Ford, which is hard for me to say. Scott, who has been part of the UW-Parkside family since 2004, has served as Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration since June of 2018. During this time, he has provided leadership and oversight for human resources, budget development and management, capital planning, facilities management, university police, accounting services, cashier operations, procurement, and risk management. Just a few jobs that you had, Scott. Prior to coming to Parkside, he provided financial management and consulting services to small business owners and entrepreneurs, and served as a chief financial officer for 2 companies, as well as worked for a large national public accounting firm. We look forward to working with you, Scott, and I'd ask that you stand so that you can be recognized wherever you may happen to be. There he is. Rhonda Glass, UW-Parkside's Associate Vice Chancellor of Human Resources, will assume Scott's previous responsibilities as she serves as the Interim Chancellor for Finance and Administration during this time of transition. And I'd like to also thank Sharonda for agreeing to step up during the transition period. On a related Parkside note, we will formally recognize Chancellor Ford's service later this afternoon when the board presents its resolution of appreciation. But in advance of that formal recognition, I would like to express my personal thanks to Debbie for her passion for student success, her mentorship, her optimism, particularly during challenging times, and for her friendship. Debbie, we are going to miss you more than you will ever know. Speaking about also missing someone who has served this institution and the institutions that comprise the system well, I'd like to also recognize that this will be the last board meeting for UW-Oshkosh Provost John Coker, who is retiring after 32 years of service. John, who started out as a math professor at UW-Oshkosh back in 1991, has held a number of positions over the years, including department chair, dean, and provost and vice chancellor for academic affairs, a role he has held since 2018. Through thick and thin, he's been always known for being student focused. And I know Chancellor Leavitt will tell you that John leaves quite a legacy at UW-Oshkosh. So John, I would ask that you please stand so that you can be recognized. Thank you for your great dedication and service to that great university. John's last day at Oshkosh will be June 30th. Edwin Martini, a 20-year higher education professional from Western Michigan University, will start as Oshkosh's new provost in July. We will introduce him at our next meeting at UW-La Crosse. Now, I'd also like to welcome Eric Wilcox, interim provost at UW-Madison, stepping in for Carl Schultz, who, as we all know, has moved on to become president of the University of Oregon. Eric is the dean of the College of Letters and Science and the Mary C. Jacoby Professor of Astronomy in the Department of Astronomy, his home department since 1995. Eric received a bachelor's degree in astrophysical sciences from Princeton and a PhD in astronomy from the University of Washington. We look forward to working with you, Eric, and thank you for taking on this very important responsibility during the transition. And Eric, I know I saw you at lunch, so I think you're here. There he is. If you'd stand and please be recognized. UW-Madison's next provost, Charles Lee Isbell Jr., formerly of the Georgia Institute of Technology, will assume that role on August 1st, and we will provide a full introduction of Provost Isbell at a future meeting. Finally, here at UW-Milwaukee, I'd like to welcome the new Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Andrew Dare. He's been on the job about a week now, and Chancellor Mone said he's fully up to speed, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. He brings 31 years of higher education experience to the role, including his most recent position as Dean of the School of Education at Virginia Commonwealth University, a position that he's held since 2016. Prior to VCU, Andrew served as the College of Education's Associate Dean for Research at the University of Houston. He also spent 13 years at the University of Central Florida. Welcome, Andrew, and if you would please stand to be recognized. We certainly look forward to working with you, Provost. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Scott Gronert, Dean of the College of Letters and Science and a professor of chemistry and biochemistry, who has served as UWM's interim provost and vice chancellor of academic affairs since May of 2022. Your leadership and steady hand have been extremely important, so I'd like to extend my thanks on behalf of the system administration to Scott for his great work. So, Scott, if you were out there, please stand. And that, President Walsh, concludes my introductions.
Thank you, President Rothman. The records of the March 30 to 31 meeting of the UW System Board of Regents, the April 25th special meeting of the Board of Regents, and the May 1st meeting of the UW System Board of Regents Executive Committee have been provided. May I have a motion to approve these records? Is there a second? Thank you. Any questions or discussion related to those minutes? All right, hearing none, we are not required to vote, so we will move ahead. I'd like to provide a brief update on the ongoing search for the next Chancellor of UW-Parkside. The Search and Screen Committee, led by Regent Kyle Weatherly as chair and Professor Adrian Vitamontes as vice chair, held a series of listening sessions in April for students, faculty, staff, and community members to share input on what qualities and characteristics the committee should consider when reviewing these candidates. I want to emphasize how important that part of the process is and how seriously we take that particular duty. For example, Chris Peterson, who lives in Grantsburg at the very tip, nearly in Lake Superior, came down many times to meet with not only the folks on campus at Platteville, but folks in the community as well. And that's so important to a smooth and engaging search process. So she really set the standard, and I know Kyle has been working very hard to get people involved and interested in it as well. So the deadline for applications to receive full consideration was last week on May 31st. The Search and Screen Committee met yesterday to begin their review of the applicants and will hold semifinalist interviews later this summer. We expect to conclude this search by early fall 2003. Other members of this board involved in the search include Regents Hector Colon, John Miller, Ashok Rai, and Jennifer Staton. We appreciate your willingness to invest the time and effort in this search. It truly is one of the most important things that we can do as Regents. In April, UW-Eau Claire and the Mayo Clinic Health System in Northwest Wisconsin were presented with awards to recognize their unique collaborations. Mayo Clinic Health System and UW-Eau Claire signed an initial 5-year collaborative agreement in 2017, and earlier this year extended that research work for 10 years, while also expanding research opportunities across a range of disciplines. Since the agreement was first announced, UW-Eau Claire students, faculty, and staff have worked on more than 40 collaborative research projects with Mayo's physicians and scientists. Students have also had the invaluable opportunity to take part in clinical rotations and observation experiences at the Mayo Clinic Health System. Mayo Clinic Health Systems has long been one of the top employers of UW-Eau Claire graduates in the Chippewa Valley. In fact, the most recent First Destination report that tracks Blue Gold graduates shows Mayo Clinic Health System was the top employer of 2021 to 22 UW-Eau Claire graduates. Last month, business partnership awards were presented to UW-Platteville and Neenah-based Plexus Corporation in recognition of their multiple collaborative ventures. Plexus Corp, led by CEO Todd Kelsey, is a global leader in complex product design, supply chain, manufacturing, and sustaining services, and the company is a frequent senior design partner in mechanical engineering and electrical engineering student projects at UW-Platteville. With dozens of pioneers currently employed at Plexus, as well as the many student internships and the ongoing research and project collaborations, UW-Platteville's connections with Plexus play a vital role in driving Wisconsin's economy. Our latest award presentation was just yesterday here on the UWM campus, as we recognize the important collaborations between this university and We Energies. We Energies has partnered with UWM for nearly half a century and is the university's top corporate donor with more than $11.4 million in contributions. There are currently 234 UWM graduates working at the company. We all know that manufacturing is vital to the success of our entire state, and We Energies is working with UWM to help build the next generation workforce through its support of the Connected Systems Institute. We Energies also has been the driving force behind providing a diverse workforce in Wisconsin. Their leadership in and financial support of the Moonshot for Equity is making sure more students complete college degrees, especially those too often left behind, including low-income, first-generation, and students of color. Moonshot for Equity is a sweeping initiative that is central to UWM's work as a student-focused access university, and We Energies partnership is so valuable. So congratulations to Chancellor Mone, the UW-Milwaukee campus community, and We Energies for working together to build a better Wisconsin. Over the next year, we will continue to publicly recognize and highlight some of the active collaborations between each of our universities and one of their valued business partners. And that concludes my report. President Rothman.
Thank you. The UW System Strategic Plan, which this board approved in December of last year, is guiding the actions that we take every single day. I'm pleased by the dedication of our team, that the dedication they have exhibited as we execute the plan, and I look forward to sharing the progress that we are making with the board at our next meeting. At the July meeting, Vice Presidents Johannes Britz, Jeff Brandt, and Sean Nelson will take a deep dive into the progress we have made to date, some of the challenges that we're facing, and then the next steps that we plan to implement. Per that strategic plan, we are also focused on helping Wisconsin win the war for talent. As you know, as set forth in the strategic plan, we have set an ambitious goal of increasing by 10% on an annual basis the number of graduates from UW system universities, and to achieve that by 2028. As just one component of that effort, we discussed with the board at the March meeting various initiatives we are either implementing or exploring to drive enrollment, which is the starting point. Winning the war for talent is incredibly important to the state, and I think the business partnership awards that Regent President Walsh just talked about are evidence of that. The facts are staring us in the face. We are simply not graduating enough engineers, nurses, educators, data scientists, and that list goes on. We're not graduating enough to fill the needs of our state employers. That is an unsustainable situation for the state, because unless we fill those jobs here in Wisconsin, the jobs that can be moved will by necessity leave the state of Wisconsin. And once they've left, they are not coming back. Our universities must play a large role in addressing the talent shortfall in Wisconsin if the state is going to be successful. We are the state's most significant talent producer. We teach students to think critically and creatively, preparing to fill jobs that employers have openings for and so desperately need new people today. But we also teach those students, and this is more important in my mind, we teach those students to have the skills to fill the jobs that do not yet exist. Each year, we award nearly 37,000 degrees, many in high-need areas like nursing and engineering and business and IT and data science, and that list goes on. Our 13 public universities are a unique asset that can help Wisconsin win that war for talent. And winning that war requires investment, not only in our K-12 and technical college system, but also in the schools that comprise the UW system. We cannot have the kind of healthy economy we all want without a strong university system in this state. But to be brutally candid, that is not what Wisconsin is doing right now. Here are some sobering facts for you. One, a recent SHIO report found that Wisconsin's financial support for its public four-year university system now ranks 42nd out of 50 states in the nation. Two, state general support for the UW system universities is lower today than it was 10 years ago on an inflation-adjusted basis. 3, Wisconsin is the only state in the nation and where the per student investment in its tech college system is higher than it in its four-year university system. 4, in the past decade, our Midwestern neighbors have invested more in public higher education than has the state of Wisconsin. 5, Wisconsin's participation rate in college, currently 1 in 4, down from 1 in 3 a few years ago, continues to lag our Midwestern counterparts. That's not good for us in the Midwest region, but we also have to think we are competing on a global, in a global market for talent. And number 6, more than half of the buildings in the UW system are more than 50 years old and in need of repair, renovation, or replacement. I suggest that we need to ask ourselves one key question. What do we want Wisconsin to look like in the next 5, 10, and 15 years? Wisconsin has an opportunity to invest in its greatest talent magnet and help the state achieve its economic potential. In reality, investments made by the state in the UW system as part of the current budget process, or more importantly, the investments not made, will define the future of our state. I appreciate that we need to look beyond just the revenue lines. I am absolutely committed, as is my team, as is our chancellors and their teams, that we take a hard look at all of our expenses, ensuring that we are responsible stewards of taxpayers' dollars as well as tuition dollars. All of the options can and must be on the table. However, and this is a critical point, and it's something I learned in my private sector experience, no organization can cut its way to success. It is not possible. I believe Wisconsin must continue and in fact increase the investment in the UW system as a means to prepare the state to participate and compete successfully in an ever-evolving knowledge economy. The state is rightfully proud of what the UW has meant to the lives of Wisconsinites. We have a critical job to do within the system to build strong communities, to prepare graduates to thrive in a world of dynamic change, and to produce groundbreaking research that directly leads to bettering the human condition and to economic vibrancy. That is what this system is capable of doing when it's at its best. But if we want a world-class system of higher education, we have to invest in it. Just like any business has to invest in its operations in order to thrive. And 42nd out of 50 will not get us there. Wisconsin deserves better. My sincere hope is that we invest wisely for the next generation so Wisconsin remains positioned to compete successfully and thrive in a global knowledge economy. And I'd like to offer just a couple of updates on several areas, starting with our capital budget request. We appreciate the action the legislature's budget writing committee, the Joint Finance Committee, took last week to approve several facilities for the UW system, including at Stout, Stevens Point, Oshkosh, and Eau Claire, as well as other investments. I am grateful for the legislature for that action. However, for Wisconsin to compete and prosper, we must invest in high demand programs at all of our universities. UW-Madison's engineering building is our top priority for a reason. It was the top priority of this board for a reason. Investing in this facility will help address a crucial workforce shortage in the state, as well as enhance the world-class research that draws talent into our state and drives economic vibrancy. We will continue to champion that vital project. The engineering building at UW-Madison is precisely the type of project that the state should want to invest in because it's going to enhance the long-term economic viability of our state. This is a project you would expect the legislature to get behind. And the fact that there is a significant amount of private support, well over $100 million for that project, just speaks to its importance. Now, turning to the operating budget, the schedule for its consideration by the Joint Finance Committee is still a bit up in the air, as the shared revenue issue is being debated. So time will tell. I know there have been some recent developments today on that front, but time will tell when our operating budget will be considered by the JFC. However, and I think, when I look at this and I think of the challenges we have, we also have to look at some of the great stuff that's going on. We are going to continue to address our challenges candidly and dispassionately in the context of that budgeting process, but we would be remiss if we did not celebrate some great accomplishments, because there is so much there are so many great things that are going on at our universities. Over the last several weeks, and I know a number of you participated in those commencement activities, we have been celebrating 23,000 new graduates from across the UW system who have earned diplomas during the spring semester. We also have been highlighting a special group of graduates, those who are first-generation college students, on our social media channels. Well, college can be and often is a life-changing experience for most students. Those among the first in their families to take that leap of faith are to be particularly congratulated for their accomplishments and, quite frankly, for their courage in taking that leap. It is worth noting that last year, 1 in 3 freshmen at our UW universities overall were first generation. 1 in 3 freshmen were first generation students. Just think about that for a second, about how the trajectory of their lives and their families' lives will be altered by the experiences they have had on our campuses. Think about the potential difference they will make for Wisconsin overall. And we have 2 poignant examples that we've heard about today. Just ask Chancellor Emeritus or Regent Cruiser what that first generation experience has meant for them and for their families. As you just heard in their introductions, they're first generation students. Increasing access to higher education and improving the rates of success for historically underserved students is one of the top priorities in our strategic plan. And we count these first generation students a real success and the movement in the right direction toward those targets. For those who keep track of things, as of late last week, our posts about first generation college students were seen by more than 36,000, viewed more than 36,000 times on our social media channels, including on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. That is good news that we want to continue to share. Now we turn to a cornerstone of the Wisconsin economy, and that's agriculture. I'd like to offer congratulations to UW River Falls for a string of recent victories in national agricultural competitions. At the North American Colleges and Teachers of Agriculture student judging contest this spring, UW River Falls notched not only the team win in the agricultural economics event against mostly larger schools, but also claimed the top 4 individual spots. I think that's what they call a clean sweep. The ag business team wasn't the only winner. A soil judging team competing at the NACTA event also took first in both the team and individual contests. This is the second year in a row both the ag business and soil judging teams took first place at the NACTA competition. And the winning keeps coming. Earlier this spring, UW River Falls also earned top honors at the annual North American Intercollegiate Dairy Challenge, topping perennial powerhouse and favorite, California Polytech State University at San Luis Obispo. The ag professors at UWRF credit the university's high rankings as national champions to their students getting out of the classroom and getting those out of classroom experiences that emphasize hands-on learning and critical thinking, skills that are required at the national competitions, but more importantly in their careers going forward. I'd like to congratulate Chancellor Gallo and the entire Falcon campus community. Chancellor Gallo is not with us today. She is with Chancellor Wachter in Madison, testifying on the reciprocity bill, but we will thank and congratulate Maria in absentia. So congratulations, River Falls. And finally, our own Alex Rowe, UW Systems Senior Associate Vice President for Capital Planning and Budget, is a recipient of the U.S. Department of Education Green Ribbon Schools Directors Award for 2023. And this truly is a really significant recognition. Alex, who joined the UW system in 2013, has long been a champion of making the advancement of sustainability a priority at our universities, including hiring a system-wide sustainability coordinator and ensuring sustainability goals are included in how our capital projects are weighted. The letter announcing her win captured her contributions quite clearly, and I'm going to quote now. "We are grateful to have you as a leader in Wisconsin and as an example to higher education authorities across the country," end quote. The letter went on to say that Alex's efforts, and again, I quote, "are grounded in your passion for quality educational environments, as well as your in-depth knowledge of the programs and features of each college and university. You have taken time to help each campus highlight unique strengths and identify impacts on their environment, students, and communities," end quote. Alex will be presented with the award during national recognition events later this summer. But for now, I'd just like to congratulate her. Alex, you are very deserving of this special recognition, and you have made us all very, very proud. And Alex, if you're out there, please stand up so we can recognize you. And that, President Walsh, concludes my report.
Thank you, President Rothman. I'll now turn the floor over to our host, Chancellor Money, who will be joined by guest presenters. I'm trusting you to introduce your guest presenters, Chancellor Money. Thank you.
As my guests join the stage, I will acknowledge the wonderful opportunity. Thank you, Regent President Walsh, President Rothman, for this opportunity to address this august body, all our wonderful distinguished guests and colleagues. This is a special opportunity, and we're so pleased to be able to share with you some of the work that we're doing with our partners. We're going to focus today on issues around the workforce shortage and some of the inequities that we address at scale in education. So this is wonderful. I've got a show, an incredible powerhouse panel here today. The best thing I could do is stand aside and let them take over, but I will spend a few moments really setting the stage to talk about a few things. So I'll introduce them as we get to their particular roles as we go down the line here. So before we do that, let me just give just a quick snapshot on what's happening at UW-Milwaukee today, and we'll get to our panelists very soon. We are a top-tier research university. It's the distinction that we hold in the UW system to be unique, and you heard this from numerous presentations today, where we illustrated our research and access mission, singular, in the UW system, the only campus that has that. We've been awarded and recognized this for the last 3 cycles from the Carnegie Institution. 146 campuses have that designation today. We're in the top 97 percentile. Carnegie Community Engagement Classification, again, there's only a select number, 363. We're one of those campuses, but if you put those two together, there are only 82 campuses in this country that have both of those together. We have over 33,000 student service learning hours where we contribute in many ways back to the community. We have across 3 campuses, 23,155 students. Majority of those students, more than 80%, are from Wisconsin, and we have today over 200,000 alumni. Most of those alumni stay and work here in Wisconsin, and we graduate. And over the last decade, we've graduated on average 5,300 students per year, putting over 50,000 students right here into the talent pipeline, addressing one of the issues. Our student profile includes the most diversity on a number of different dimensions. These include the most military veterans. In fact, in a 6-state region, you'd have to go well beyond that to find something that is as close to us as we have, with over 1,100 veterans on our campus. In fact, we were number 5 in the country in terms of military friendly last year. The largest number of first-gen students, the highest number of Pell Grant recipients. In fact, our students have an average financial unmet need of $2,500 greater than the average unmet need across the UW system. And what that basically is another way of saying is that between a research university with the obligations, the expectations, and the remarkable work that we do, and an access mission, we're an expensive university to operate. There's no question about that. We're consistently, for the last decade, have been in the top 20, not top 20%, but in absolute numbers, top 20 LGBTQ plus friendly, supportive university. And we have the second highest number of students of color, second to Madison. We're number 2 in terms of percentage behind Parkside in terms of percentage of students of color. But all that said, all that momentum, it's all great, but we're not putting enough students out. We're simply not graduating enough. And I think that's true. And I want to reinforce what both President Walsh and President Rothman have said today in many different ways. I think we're completely aligned, and I want to provide a few more points in regard to what you've heard already this afternoon. I'm going to start and talk about how we're addressing these issues through partnerships. We're going to focus on just one type of partnership. There's many we could examine. But why I'm going to talk about this is, first of all, let's just ask a practical question. Who doesn't need more talent today? I don't think anybody would raise their hand. I don't think anybody would acknowledge that. This is just a significant issue. In fact, the state of Wisconsin has, for every 100 openings, only 54 available employees, only 54 available possible employees. The national average is, out of every 100 openings, there's 74. So we're already lag that number. If you look more specifically at the M7 region, that's what we call the southeastern 7 counties in Wisconsin. We have today, just in the top 20 job postings, and this is Metro Milwaukee Association of Commerce data as of October of 2022. The top 20 job openings represent 48,000 openings. We have another 16,000 over the next 9 years, 16,000 openings, and that's through modest economic growth. Tim will be able to speak about this later. I think that's a conservative estimate, but we also have over 50,000, in fact, it's closer to 60,000 retirements expected. Putting this all together, you're looking at 114,000 positions available for which we are looking for individuals, in particular with degrees. Why do I say that? When we talk about openings, the big question is, well, yeah, what's the importance of UW system? As we look at the top 20, 19 of those 20 require at least a 2-year, but most of them require a 4-year degree. This is compelling, and this is a huge argument because it really helps answer President Rothman's statement about what do we see in the future in the next 5 to 10 years. What will Wisconsin become if we don't address those needs? It's about a number of different things, including, yes, where corporations come and go, but also what's the livelihood. So let's talk a little bit more about some of those things in terms of the impact on individuals, but recognize that in terms of attainment, the percentage of college degrees, Wisconsin is challenged. We have hardly 30, just a little over 30% in terms of our state average compared to the West. And you get almost 38% in terms of college attainment in Minnesota. In Illinois, it's closer to 36%. Michigan is comparable to us, but we fall behind in terms of opportunities for economic growth. In fact, there's some really interesting economic aspects when you look at the relationship between education and personal income. Again, I draw from both some of the higher ed regional alliance data on the left, where you see the variability across the counties in southeastern Wisconsin. Our average is not even 30% in terms of college attainment. We lag the rest of the state in southeastern Wisconsin. But look at the impact. What this shows is the per capita income. And while we're in the top 25 still, this basically shows that the latest available data from MMAC is that we dropped from number 15 to number 20 in terms of the per capita income. And the correlate and the big driver is oftentimes the degree status, the individuals with degrees, that opens up more doors. And I think our panelists will speak to that today. So we also see further equity challenges. And some of you have seen this particular slide before. And so I'm just going to use this as an anchor, real quick anchor. This is almost definitional. This basically says that in southeastern Wisconsin, we have the largest underrepresented populations. No surprise in terms of those of you who know the state of Wisconsin at all, but for those of you who don't, we have these categories that show the relative high school and college graduation rates by background. So that's of our existing population. That's not the attainment rate in terms of students going through a completion. This is just a factual definition drawn from census data. But where are we going with this? Let's talk about a moral imperative. And if I back up for just a moment, we picked two different zip codes, and these are not the most extreme in this region. We could pick more extreme ones. We do have 53206, which nationally is one of the most impoverished zip codes in the country. This is factual. There's no debate about that. 53217, east side, north side, not the most well off, but just one that demonstrates the difference between, first of all, education level. And again, I'm talking about causality here, not just correlation. We see that doors are open. We see incredible opportunities if you have a degree, but if you don't, those doors simply don't exist. It's not that they're closed. There's nowhere to go. So if you see the household income and the poverty rate, those are predictable, staggeringly predictable. And then I put a circle around the life expectancy. This is the moral imperative. This is 11.9-year difference in life expectancy, and back up as to why. If you don't have a degree, if you don't have income, what employment opportunities are available to you? What does that mean in terms of healthcare, access to social mobility, food, other types of indicators, what we oftentimes, the social determinants of health that are basically denied without education. So what are we doing about this? What are we doing about this? It's very much like you've heard from our system and regional leadership today. It is absolutely critical that we recognize that we need to have even stronger partnerships. And I say that because, first of all, the problems, opportunities are so large, we can't address them alone. There's also an economic argument. There's so much more muscle. There's so much more firepower. There's so much more effectiveness when we work together. It's really true. So let's talk about those imperatives a little more detailed. I've gone through, I think, some of the pieces in terms of the imperatives. And let's talk about some of these partnerships and then get to the panel. There's really three of note today. One is M cubed. You've heard me talk about this before. This is Milwaukee Public Schools, Milwaukee Area Technical College, and UWM, the three M's, working exponentially together. And there's a lot of power that you're going to hear about. The second, I should have warned you, this is a big one coming at you. There's a lot of stuff here. On the back side of the top of this slide are all 2-year, 4-year educational partners. Every single public and private in southeastern 7 counties is at the table. And I'm talking the presidents and chancellors have been committed for the last several years. On the lower part, we have 10 community partners, all of whom have the presidents and CEOs of those organizations that are working on 3 goals. You're going to hear about that. I'm not going to take any of the thunder from our panel. This is powerful in terms of alignments on addressing just what I've been talking about, workforce shortages and helping address the equity gaps. The third linkage doesn't come out so easily, but it's that on the right-hand side, you see the moonshot for equity. The stage has been set already by President Rothman, so I don't need to elaborate on that. You're going to hear more about it. We're the first region in the country to address this. Memphis and Miami were going down the slide with us to look at this in about 2019. When the pandemic hit, they backed off. We said, no way, we need this even more. And with courage, conviction, and passion, we have jumped fully into this. So we're going to talk about some of those details. So to bring this to life, I'm now going to have our panel talk about what the value, the importance, and the impact has been of our work together. So with that, I'm going to start with our introductions. And I'll first ask Dr. Keith Posley. He's the superintendent of Milwaukee Public Schools. Proud to say he's a UWM Panther, has done an incredible job. We're so fortunate in this community to have somebody who is one of the nationally recognized leaders tackling one of the most difficult jobs in education today, which is being the superintendent of a large public school district. Dr. Posley, welcome. Can you please share with us some of your perspectives on our work together, impact, and what you see for the future?
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to share a little bit about the MCube. MCube is a partnership built with a strong foundation between the largest public education institutions in the city of Milwaukee, Milwaukee Public Schools, Milwaukee Area Technical College, and the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. The partnership is dedicated to transforming the city of Milwaukee through education. In doing so, a learning focus on building and supporting individual academic and career plans for every student through an equity lens, the use of curriculum, and providing key topics of learning for faculty. These are the early steps in preparing students' transitions out of high school. These steps are accomplished by connecting MPS students through experiences and programs at MPS, MATC, and UW-Milwaukee. that support transition to college, expanding MCube College Connections and in school dual enrollment courses with MATC and UWM. The support allows students to earn college credits prior to graduation and empowering families to support their children's success through the MCube Parent Institute and other resources. Supports include the Smart Start program, offering students support over the summer while preparing for college, dual enrollment, where students earn high school and college credits simultaneously, and the Milwaukee Parent Institute, where parents attend a 6-week program designed to prepare families for their child's college journey. With this partnership, MPS is now more able to than ever to assist students with a direct line to college, driving competition, focusing on student support to increase their chances for success. This includes every student completing their free application for federal student aid, creating opportunities for work-based and experiential learning, including internships, junior and senior job fairs that allow students the opportunity to engage with employers. We look forward to continued partnership and increasing student enrollment with years to follow. Thank you.
Dr. Posley, thank you. As you talk, I reflect on how unprecedented this collaboration is prior to the work we began in 2014. And I'm just so thrilled for this type of partnership, the types of increases we've seen in graduation, not only at MPS, but across our institutions. Thank you for your comments and perspectives. More coming from you soon. Next, we have Dr. Mohammed Dakwar. Mohammed is the Vice President of Learning at Milwaukee Area Technical College. We're very proud of the work that we've done in collaboration with him, his vision, and certainly passion for so many different things he's been able to participate and lead for our work together. Dr. Dakwar, could you also speak to the value, the importance of the partnership, what type of impact, and your thoughts for the future?
Thank you, Dr. Moni, and good afternoon. First, I'd like to stress the M cubed and the fact that it's an exponent. It's not really 3. And then for the exponential growth that we're trying to create within the city and the region. The reason I say that is we're not only creating change, but we are looking at transformation in student lives, in our communities, and in our state as well. With that said, what I'd like to do is share some of the data that we have. And this is really a true testimony to what the M cubed has been able to do. And this is directly out of the dashboards as well. So one thing that I would like to share with you first is the 3 institutions being recognized nationally in 2022 for helping more MPS students complete their FAFSA. And that is the federal financial aid forms. In fact, MPS's growth doubled the national average, which is super, super impressive. In addition to this, we look at retention as a key metric. Let me share some data with you as well. So we have the fall to fall retention. We are seeing a higher percentage of MPS graduates at METC who were enrolled in the fall from either graduated from MPS and continue to enroll either at METC or UWM. And then we're showing that the percentage increased in fall 19 going into fall 20. The cohort for that year, both full-time and part-time students. Let's start with the full-time students, went from 42.6% to 50.0%. For the part-time students, 27.3% to 38.8%. Again, very significant increases in retention. The last metric that I'm going to use is actually related to credits. And I think you're familiar with this. I mean, the students get to earn 21 credits. They save a lot of money, hundreds of thousands, could be millions of dollars. I think Dr. Posley shared the data with us yesterday. It's not so much the economics. It's not so much the finances. It's truly the fact that they have a dream. They have a hope. They have a success path going into college. They're determined to make a future, not only for themselves, but to their families as well. So with that said, quickly, graduation within 100%, and this is within 4 years. The numbers increased overall from 7.9% in fall of 2015, and this is a cohort, by the way, to 13.4%, almost doubled in graduation. Another one is increased for Pell students from 7.0 to 11.3 for the fall of 2016. As you can see, the numbers speak for themselves. I think the transformation is happening. So I want to say M cubed, okay, great partnership, It's good news for us. It's good news for our city and hopefully region and state as well.
Love it. Thank you very much, Dr. Dakwar. You can see why I get a little irritated when people call it M3. Not quite got the same ring as the M cubed. That's the true power and what you've talked about. You know, I think about many of us were islands before we began working together. And what I mean by that is that we've been doing our own thing and we kind of acknowledged that, yeah, what happens in MPS or what happens in the technical college ultimately has some impact. But it wasn't until we said the work and our identity has to transcend the borders. It cannot simply be defined geographically. It has to be that type of commitment where we have absolutely the type of engagement that you've just heard about with the impact. There's many more stats, there's much more data, but it's very compelling. So that's something that would just be my comment at this point. Next, let's talk about HERA, Higher Ed Regional Alliance. The Higher Ed Regional Alliance, I was very fortunate to be the first leader of this group for 3 years. And we established critical goals around attainment with an equity lens. We also looked at alliances and work with each other, as well as the type of work that we're trying to engage employers even more around. With just a little bit of that as an overview, I would like to ask Dr. Debbie Ford, who we all know, Chancellor Ford, and lament and are sad about moving on, but also celebrate and recognize for the incredible accomplishments over 14 years as the leader of UW-Parkside, certainly a friend, a mentor, a great collaborator in a wonderful way. Debbie, can you share your perspectives on the value, impact, and direction of our work together, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. And thank you for your leadership of the Higher Ed Regional Alliance and certainly for your partnerships, because we would not be here and have made the progress over the past 5 years without your leadership of HERA. So the Higher Ed Regional Alliance has 3 goals when we came together in 2018. First, to increase college attainment in our region. And Mark showed you the data of why that is a moral imperative for all of us. We also, as colleges and universities with community partners, knew that we needed to align our curriculum across our institutions with the needs of our region and how it evolves. And then we also kept hearing that our employer partners could not find talent. And we were like, well, we're graduating all of this talent. We have all of these students, well over 150,000 in this region. And so we want to build smoother pathways between our institutions with business and industry. So as higher education and community leaders, we know that well-educated and ready talent is vital in this knowledge economy. We, as leaders in the Higher Ed Regional Alliance, are working as collaborators to expand pathways for our students. We have a public-facing data dashboard that shows progress on retention, graduation, credit accumulation, gateway course completion. And these are also reported by gender, race, first-generation college status, and Pell eligibility. The data is provided by all of the campuses and is updated on an annual basis. We also compare this against our ambitious goals. Now, it was not an easy feat to have institutions share their data and then share that publicly. But in order for us to have the accountability that we desire, we knew that we needed to do that. So check out Higher Education Regional Alliance and dive deep into our data dashboard. We are making progress. The dashboards position us to make data-driven decisions and demonstrate our shared commitments to improve student success. I want you to know that we have met monthly, even during the pandemic, for the past 5 years, and have implemented many, many new initiatives that I could spend hours talking about. But let me just share a few of these initiatives, and you've heard us talk about these at other Board of Regents meetings. The 15 to Finish campaigns, proactive advising strategies, math pathways, hold reforms, improved transfer pathways between and among K-12 partners like Superintendent Posley and higher education partners. We've also developed new collaborative badges, certificates, and degree programs, and we have held a number of jointly held internship and career fairs. We are certainly making progress, and we are committed to leading and preparing this next generation of talent for our region. We are certainly better together as the Higher Ed Regional Alliance, and I know for certain that HERA serves as a national model for a powerful partnership. So thank you, Mark.
Terrific, Dr. Ford. Thank you so much. Just as a quick example of the type of leadership that Debbie has provided, Goal one, which she co-led with Dr. Vicki Martin of MATC, was competing with 45 other regions in the nation for additional support for our work around attainment. We were one of 4 regions to receive $500,000 in support from College Completion America based on the type of leadership that Debbie and Vicki have brought together. That's just one example. There's many, many others. Now, from the community perspective, it's really important to recognize and hear the voice of individuals in the community, vital part of HERA. We have with us next President Nancy Hernandez of the Hispanic Collaborative. The Hispanic Collaborative represents hundreds of leading organizations, and particularly the most relevant leaders with respect to bringing higher quality of life, higher income, and a number of other things for Latinos in this region. We're very fortunate to have Nancy Hernandez be able to join us today. In her work, she has many different hats that she's worn, but historically in our community, she's led a marketing and communication firm, Abrazo, but many other community leadership areas rely very much on her voice, on her wisdom and insight. President Hernandez, please, can you share your perspectives on our work together, impact, and how this aligns very well with what's happening with the Hispanic Collaborative?
Thank you so much, Mark. So in 2016, the Greater Milwaukee Foundation commissioned a study that looked at the past 25 years of the Latino population in our region. It really pointed to 2 key things. Number one is in Milwaukee, as in all over the nation, the Latino population is responsible for nearly 100% of the net population growth and the net job growth. And number 2, there were many negative sliding variables, such as decreasing household income and increasing levels of poverty that needed to be addressed. This is really how the Hispanic Collaborative came together, with a shared goal of trying to become a top 10 city on the Hispanic Wellbeing Index, which is an index that measures 20 different outcome variables on our Latino populations here and compares that to the same data for the Latino populations in the top 50 metros in the US. This is also an index that we developed together with the UWM Center for Economic Development. In order for this region and the state to prosper, we know we need a growing workforce population ready to tackle the jobs needed today and tomorrow. And Latinos are one of the biggest feeder into that pipeline. And we need partners at the Hispanic Collaborative. We need partners to tackle the big complex social issues that we are attempting to address, such as increasing median household income and increasing the rate of Latino-owned businesses, to name a few. These solutions need to be as big and as complex as the problems are in order to be effective. So our partnership with HERA has allowed us to effectively put together a few key things. One is an upskilling pilot, which is moving low-income, low-skilled workers into higher-earning, high-demand positions, such as cybersecurity and certified nursing assistants. We are currently upskilling 100 Latinos per year into these careers in partnership with MATC and UW-Whitewater. And we are getting ready to scale this to be able to reach 1,000 Latinos per year in 3 years' time. We also want to mention our social media internship pilot, which allows us to address the digital literacy needs of our Latino-owned businesses at a bigger scale that has been possible before. How? Powered by 33 Latino students that are experiencing a 1-year paid internship and developing a network of communication and advertising agencies that could be their first employer. These students are coming from Alverno, MATC, UWM, Marquette, and Mount Mary. So our work at the Hispanic Collaborative, we feel, is important and necessary for everyone, not just the Latino population, because of its importance in fueling the region's economic prosperity. And HERA is a necessary partner for us to tackle these issues on the road to that equitable prosperity.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nancy. Next, I'd like to hear, in this case, it goes beyond the community, building on that, but really from the employer perspective. And we have with us President Tim Sheehy. President Sheehy is the leader of the Metro Milwaukee Association of Commerce. He has been in that role for a long time, and we have been good friends, neighbors, a number of personal things that Tim, I hope, doesn't share too much about, the beer over the fence every once in a while, but those types of things. But he truly whether it's in terms of the work and advocacy for Milwaukee and with our colleagues in Madison, whether it's around business and alignment. The different types of partnerships and the leadership that Tim has brought have made a difference in our community. I would hate to think how different our community would be, Tim, without your leadership. We're really pleased to have you with us today. Could you share your perspectives on the work of HERA, on the support and the types of things that we've been working on with MMAC?
Yeah, thanks very much, Mark. And as I like to say, Mark was a neighbor of mine until he got into public housing. So we're sorry to lose him, but happy that you have him here as Chancellor. And again, it's an honor to be in front of you. I'm one of 9 UW-Madison graduates in my extended family, and we've got 2 more paying tuition in the pipeline. So our family's been a big beneficiary of the system that you talked about and some of the comments that you made earlier, Jay. I also want to pick up just on a comment you made, that this is not just about competing against Illinois and Michigan and Minnesota. This is about being globally competitive. And we have a vision as a region to be globally competitive, to foster high value jobs that sustain a vibrant quality of life for all. And if I had to pick out one metric to measure whether or not we're making progress against that vision, it would be real per capita income. And this may surprise you if you haven't spent a lot of time in Milwaukee. But of the top 50 metros in the United States, Milwaukee today ranks 13th in real per capita income. And the reason we do so is in large part because of all the work of everybody in this room. Our ability to develop, advance, and recruit talent is critical to our ability to drive the prosperity that we see in this region and the prosperity we want to grow in this region. So in 2018, a group of about 120 employers came together, and we wanted to add to the recruitability of the region. So we put some goals together to make sure that this was a region of choice for diverse talent. And today we have about 120,000 employees working for companies that are participating in this goal. And it's really a collective goal. And I want to thank again, Mark for his leadership and Debbie for her leadership, and connect us to HERA. Because we can't achieve that goal. We can't grow that talent here without the work and the collaboration that's been brought to not only this collaboration of employers sharing best practices, but to their ability to hire and recruit the talent coming out of the universities in southeastern Wisconsin here. And I want to finish with one point about UWM that I think really drives home the opportunity. I think it was 2 years ago, Mark, we sat down and talked about the great talent that you have at UWM here and how we connect that talent to employers who are looking to grow the talent that they have and to improve the diverse talent that they have. So last summer, working with UWM, we put together a group of employers that came here. I would call it, it was almost like NFL draft day. And they came out of NFL draft day with 59 students here that went into paid internships. And I'll just finish with a quote from the CEO of Eaton Corporation, who summed it up best. I got an email from him right after that, and he told me, I feel like I got 5 first-round draft picks. And this is fantastic. This is a lens into the talent we need. This really helps us build a diverse pool of talent that we're going to need to be successful. So we look forward to continuing the partnership with HERA in the Moonshot and other things that you're doing here. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Tim. Very, very important comments, very much valued. The third partnership is what several people have talked about already today, which is Moonshot. And Moonshot is represented by an interesting variety of partners here. We've got a large public, we've got 4-year, we've got a really important, critically important medium-sized public. We've got one of the largest, if not the largest technical college in the state, and Carthage College, a very strong private university representing the region, but working on one specific goal as evident by the logo on the left-hand side. We partner with EAB on this initiative called Moonshot for Equity to close the achievement gaps that we know start early in Wisconsin. And unfortunately, we have the greatest gap in the country, 50th out of 50 for Black versus white graduation. We have the 43rd largest gap. This is high school graduation, the 43rd largest gap in Hispanic versus white student graduation gaps. And that continues in college. And that's some of the attainment issues that we've seen earlier. We're bringing that together deliberately through the work together. I'd like to start with Dr. Ford again and have her talk about our work together, some of the achievements, and our future. Please, Debbie.
Thank you, Mark. And first of all, I am so proud that the Milwaukee region led in being the first region to join the Moonshot for Equity. Let me tell you, there were a few tough conversations. Mark Monet is a tough negotiator, but we got there. So thank you for listening to me and answering the phone when I called and said, this is what we must do for the students and future alumni of our institutions, and to close, or actually not close, eliminate these equity gaps. So our shared goal as leaders in the Moonshot for Equity is to eliminate equity gaps in college attainment by 2030. And we are making progress. As many of you may know, Milwaukee and Racine, one of the counties in our service region at UW-Parkside, are ranked as the worst communities for African Americans. We also know that one of the measures in this particular ranking is college attainment. So if we improve college attainment, hopefully we will improve other outcomes for our African American neighbors and citizens. Partnerships like the Moonshot for Equity position us to work collaboratively to move the needle and to improve outcomes for more students, especially those who are most underrepresented on our campuses. When we first entered the discussions for Moonshot for Equity, we kept hearing from our colleagues on our campuses, well, we already have these practices, but the data told a different story. And so we started posing the question, so how's that working for us? Well, obviously it was not. And we know that change is difficult but necessary. So we joined together with EAB, led by Tom Sugar, to deploy their software tools like Navigate, which the Business and Finance Committee reviewed today, to participate in change management, leadership development, and diversity training. We conducted campus climate surveys, and we share learnings across our campuses. We are also committed to sharing what we're learning in the Moonshot with our higher ed regional alliance partners. So what we have done over the past several years as leaders for the Moonshot for Equity is we have dug deeper into our policies and practices and have identified the barriers to student success. One of my favorite examples is the work that we did on hold reform. When we put holds on a student's account at our institutions, we do that because it is convenient for us. And we are hoping to change the behavior of our students. But when we look at the data more closely, we realize that the holds actually disadvantage students, particularly underrepresented students. Our library director, when she learned that the library holds that had been placed were actually preventing students from re-enrolling, said, we can do better. We can find other strategies. So I can tell you across our 4 institutions, and now we're implementing this HERA-wide, we have eliminated a number of holds and have shifted our mindsets. Last, being a leader in the Moonshot for Equity has opened doors with philanthropic partners. At UW-Parkside, the Callahan family, the Brookwood Foundation, recently 2 healthcare partners, and Snap-on have joined with us and invested in scholarships and student success coaches because they believe in our vision and want to partner with us to eliminate equity gaps in our region. Yes, eliminating equity gaps by 2030 is an ambitious goal, but one that we must meet. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. That was great. Perfect. Now we go to MATC, another partner in the work that we're doing. I asked Dr. Dakwar to also share his perspective on our collaborative work together for Moonshot for Equity. Dr. Dakwar.
So closing the equity gap, it starts with access. And there's usually a simple question that we ask, are students college ready? But we shifted the paradigm. And the question is, are we student ready? And that is where equity lies in. And so we, with a different mindset, with this new kind of narrative, that's how we drove some of the outcomes. So let me tell you, for students, that means that reaching their attainment goals in less time, for less money, and achieving better career outcomes. For the community, the Moonshot for Equity provides a fair and equal chance to gain the knowledge and the skills needed to succeed. For higher education, that's the three of us here. For the higher education, Moonshot for Equity seeks to close the racial and socioeconomic achievement gaps in higher education. The list goes on and on and on. So the question is, what are we doing and what metrics or outcomes can you share? Before I share that, I want to share a story with you. And the story goes something like this. A student insisted that she wanted to talk to me at some point. What is this all about? Well, it's about having completed every single requirement in her program with straight A's. Okay, so what's the issue? Well, there's one class left. Guess what? It's math. She tried it over and over and over, failed over and over and over. So what do? So the closing the equity gaps is looking at these kind of, things that are barriers for the students, and what do we do about them as institutions and so on. So one of the key metrics that we have is the math alignment, and we call it math pathways actually. And this is turning math from a gatekeeper to success to a gateway to a successful path. And with that, we're doing so much, MPS, METC, and also UWM. So what we're trying to do there is create some other math options. Many of you know the algebra sequence. That's a barrier to many of our students. Do they really have to have the algebra sequence? And then from our, kind of research, from our talking to employers and so on, there are other, alternatives. And we came up with the math reasoning, mathematical reasoning, I should say, which really opened a lot of gates, gave them the actual skill sets that they needed to succeed and thrive in their programs and so on. So there's so much that we are doing. And this includes, by the way, first time ever in college. It includes students who are returning to college because they left at some point, gave up on the dream of college because they couldn't do the math or the English at the time and so on. Another one is the Gateway English class. And I'm going to use, very quick metrics here, actually outcomes. So we actually saw an increase from 35.3% to 38% of all full-time students between fall 2019 and fall 2020. And let me tell you, you may say 5 percentage points. Is that really significant? It is, especially when the students are taking this early on in their career with the right support and the right access to college as well. And by the way, UWM, METC, we used to have tracks for students. We called it pre-college. Students had to spend 1-2 years, sometimes over 2 years to get to where they need to be in English and math. Now they go directly to their math courses, to the English courses, and seeing the success levels that I just shared with you. Other things that we're doing is restructuring how we do business. What does that mean? The way we look at the, academic maps, the sequences of courses, the advising, the wraparound services, and so on. And our, data is showing a lot of progress in this. The last thing that I want to share with you is a support of returning adult learners. We notice that there's so much talent in our community, and we need to reach out to these students. And we're seeing these students back in big numbers as well.
Thank you, Mohammed. Great data, great metrics and behaviors. So I'm going to take one pass through from our folks who also have perspectives on Moonshot. Dr. Posley, your views on Moonshot and the work from the K-12 perspective in terms of where your students are ultimately going to go and impact on the community as you see it.
I'll start with an opportunity I had on yesterday. I spent yesterday afternoon here on this campus celebrating some young students that had graduated from high school in MPS, but had a number of college credits that they're going to be taking off to the local universities, wherever they may go over this country. So that's very exciting. But also some exciting news is the professional development opportunities that has been prepared for our teachers who can work hand to hand with instructors from MATC, as well as instructors on the UWM campus around pulling curriculum together so it's uniform, so that we don't have that math void when we go into the university. And I also have to shout out the idea that we started out with basically just 32 students, and that number of students has just skyrocketed over time, over the 5-year period, and constantly moving forward. And so right now I have 28 high schools. And out of that 28 high school, 15 of those high schools are a part of this college going curriculum. And also 6,758 credit hours have been attained for those students. And this year alone, 1,748 credits, which basically save young people over $500,000 that they will have going into. And then I will close with this partnership has allowed for our students to dream big dreams and have an opportunity to sit in college campuses. I got now a good situation where I have students all over the district asking, how can I access this program? We have to throw more money in the school budget to be able to work with our young people, but it's a golden opportunity for success and a blueprint for success.
It's wonderful to create things like that together, fueling the aspiration, confidence, and dreams. President Hernandez, your views on Moonshot, the kinds of impact that we have and potentially can have with the Hispanic Collaborative and larger community.
Thank you. So I'd say that the beauty of doing a data-driven approach to a complex social problem is that we know what success looks like. We can quantify actually what it would mean to us here to achieve that. We know that educational attainment is one of the highest correlating variables to our index. If we can move that, we can move those other pieces. We know that. We also know what Latino populations are capable of in terms of educational attainment in other top performing cities. We know what the top looks like. So if we were able to reach the same level here as those top cities are, Latinos, for educational attainment, we would have 12,000 more Latino college graduates right now in our workforce here in this region. 12,000 more Latino college graduates. And each of those 12,000 households where those Latino college graduates would live would be experiencing 65% more household income than those households have now. So the work that HERA is doing in Moonshot for Equity is an important piece to the puzzle and a valued partner in our work to increase median household income.
Those are compelling numbers. And like the title here says, addressing inequities at scale, very powerful. President Sheehy.
Yeah, so here's the way I would look at the Moonshot and closing the gap. If you think about the city of Milwaukee in particular, which is where we're getting the growth in our talent, there are about 110,000 K-12 students publicly funded. Half of them are going through MPS, half are going through independent charter schools or through choice schools. 68% of those kids are graduating, 36% are enrolling, and 14% are completing a 2 or 4 year degree. So when we think about this collaboration, it's so critical to our ability to develop that talent. And we need a purposeful way to do it. And I think that's what the Moonshot does to pull us together. And I want to wrap up with something again, Jay, that you said about the value of the universities collectively, not just preparing kids for jobs that exist, but preparing kids for jobs that don't exist. And at some point, one of Keith's predecessors had a plaque on the wall in the superintendent's office, and it said something along the lines are, children are messengers we send to a time we will not see. And so whether we're preparing these kids for a seat on a rocket to Mars or a desk at Rockwell, we need to make sure that it's our responsibility to get them prepared today.
Very powerful. Great. Let's thank the panelists for their insights and great wisdom. I'll wrap up here shortly and we'll have an opportunity for any Q&A you might have with them, but let's pull this together. I'm going to gray out the content and talk. You've already heard about programs and initiatives. You've done the work here. Thank you. I don't have to go through these, but I want to point out that as Tim Sheehy said, there's the region of choice from the employer side of things, but where's that talent going to come from? That's where we play a part, all of us in the education system, to really help provide that talent. And we all have on all of our campuses, diverse populations. We need to continue to support them through these types of partnerships. I'll move on and just talk a little bit, and you've heard a lot of data about impact and outcomes, so I don't have to go through this a lot, but the retention for students of color we've seen on our campus. We've seen over a 12% increase in first to second year retention. I'll give a shout out to Johannes Britz, our former provost, who really helped lead the effort on this particular area. And Johannes, you were very proud of this all the time in terms of seeing the needle move. And we've added reinforcement to that. As Debbie Ford talked about, with the release of holds, think about this for a moment. We looked at the holds, and oftentimes those were things that were beneficial for us, but hardly helpful for students. By releasing a lot of what we consider to be artificial holds, in one semester, we had 500 more students on our campus because of that. That's just one example of one of the 15 types of practices that we've engaged. There's so many powerful types of issues. You've heard about the graduation impact. We can talk about the work that we've done together through M-Cubed and the impact on MPS. Dramatic double-digit growth. Again, nationally, this is not easy to achieve, as we see. Philanthropic support. We shared yesterday, and President Rothman shared the comments about We Energy support, but they're just the tip of the iceberg. We've actually received $6 million+ for the support for Moonshot. We've got a lot of, and that's direct. There's indirect support that's come in, for example, from Freighter Hospital, $6 million for MATC, $6 million for UWM to support students in healthcare from the city of Milwaukee. We can talk about Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, his scholarships, the Nadella Scholars, he and his wife Anu, in terms of a startup of $2 million for students in STEM-related fields, focusing on our College of Engineering, computer science, but that's just, we suspect, the start. So a lot of philanthropy, and I could give you many other examples. Placement, here we come to what the panel really is talking about. The rubber hits the road. So where do these students go? What happens? I'm really pleased to tell you that 91% of UW-Milwaukee students are either in the workforce within 3 months after graduation or going on to graduate school. Where more specifically do they go? And when I ask you, and you know there's an ask coming, when I ask you for support, when we talk about what we can all advocate for, this is really something that helps address a lot of issues in terms of the importance of college. What we did is we looked at categorically, where do our students go and where are the needs? And what you have in the state of Wisconsin is the needs can be arrayed in 4 buckets, those that are here represented by the columns. And they fall into, and we have them in ascending order, where we start with the largest in terms of how our students meet these needs. This is 86% of our graduates every year. And again, what did I say earlier? 53,000 graduates over the last decade. So this is a running, we look at this over time, and this is a snapshot from the last year. And what we see is that out of 5,300 students the previous year, they go into these fields. 2,900 into health and human services. Nursing within that is one area that we could do even more. Despite being the largest nursing program in the state, one of the best recognized US News and World Reports, here we are not able to do that because we didn't get the health sciences renovation done. We could put 15% more students into the talent pipeline in this category alone over the next decade, 3,000 more graduates. And the headlines today around talent shortages in healthcare use the word crisis. That's a fact, that there's just one of the most compelling needs. So we need your support. We need that type of advocacy. Business, STEM, computer science, we could keep going. Very, very important. So to wrap this up, I think what you've heard today, better than what I could have said, from our partners, the essential nature, the impact, the value of our work together. It is more time consuming, but it's so much more effective. And it really is something that we can't do alone. We can't meet the needs from the employers and the community if we're not recognizing the value of working together. UWM is a convener. As a research university, we've got an amazing quality of faculty and staff. I'd put them up against any university in the world in terms of their ability to deliver on so many things, from student care to research to the engagement. That's why we've received those nationally top recognized honors. We could have had a panel today, and we could do this in healthcare. We could do this in advanced manufacturing. We could do this in fresh water, as we have been doing across the UW system. And we can keep going through a number of different fields beyond just education and talent array. And that's the power that you have supported, Regents, through supporting the type of university that we have here in Milwaukee. I have underscored, and I think from the comments, whatever we're doing here today, recognizing still the gaps and the issues that exist, we need to work even more closely together. We need to build on this type of momentum. It truly is the only way to do these 4 things. To create knowledge, we don't do that in isolation. We really need to engage together, resolve problems, secure the ever increasingly competitive federal funding. And what you heard today is it might start with a pilot, but ultimately it's the scale. Ultimately, it's that level of impact that we need, because the magnitude, and as Nancy said, the social issues are so complicated and so deep and longstanding. We really need to look at these and recognize it's a long game. We at this university create the ecosystems to build tomorrow's economy. And I want to borrow, beg, Tim, if I can, some of the work that we did years ago together, where we looked at what made regional economies work. Tim actually went to Silicon Valley and many other locations. I've been to many of those as well. And we were on these parallel paths. And what we saw the commonality was, whether you go to today, Seattle, San Jose, Austin, Denver, Washington, DC, Miami, if you look at the companies that are going there, the common element typically at the heart is a research university or a system of universities working together. In Madison, you've got an incredible powerhouse in the state, in the country, hands down. There's very few at Madison's level. In Milwaukee, we don't have that. And Tim, we recognized that together and we created TechStar. And this was something that was a powerful partnership of 5 universities working together, really precursors to some of the partnerships that you heard today. But as Tim often says, you need to make something and you need to sell it, product or service, to bring outside dollars in. If we just had our own economic ecosystem within this room, we would have to send money out to bring products in. So you have to bring the money in, and then that creates supply chains and that creates support systems. And that's the innovation that happens, again, at a research university where we're harnessed to innovation, entrepreneurship, and we have that as a DNA. And it's really important to share that. And again, that's the community engagement, to share our resources, to share our research and those types of activities. So that's the strength of this campus. And then I would not be doing my job if I didn't make a strong statement about the state of public higher education today. And I think you'd agree with me about, on the one hand, its importance, and on the other hand, the challenges that are coming from a number of different quarters. We see that in terms of enrollments. We heard this from Jay, President Rothman, in terms of the participation rate, and frankly, between debt and the alternatives. You know, what is the future of higher education? I think we've made a pretty compelling case to help thwart that, but we also have a lot of empirical data that shows the economic, but also I would talk about the social imperatives with respect to what happens. And if you were to just Google advantages or benefits of a democracy, you would find endless lists in terms of protection of human rights. You would see how an educated populace, as Ben Franklin, going back to some of his original work, if you want a strong democracy, the importance of education, and we have to start young and we have to continue to reinforce that. And this is why I argue in closing how it's about partnerships. It's not islands. It's not in isolation, but the power of us working together, how much more stronger, how much more effective, and how much more we can resolve and move this region, state, and frankly, country and world together. I call this the multiplier effect. It's a positive, virtuous cycle and truly catalytic. So I hope you've benefited from hearing about our partnerships. And I want to thank again our remarkable panel and all of you for your engagement and listening here today to this wonderful group. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Mone, and our panelists also. We're running a little behind, but I do want to take a few minutes for questions or comments. Regent Clone.
Thank you so much, Regent Walsh. Thank you so much, panel, for being here today and for inspiring us and for your leadership in each of your respective organizations, but also the leadership you provide to the broader community. You know, this community respects you, they trust you, and they also believe in you. So again, thank you. So in 2030, here's my question. In 2030, when we are here and you are going to be presenting, and we'll all the board members are going to be out in the audience and hearing how we've eliminated the equity gap. What are those measures that you're going to be sharing with us and articulating how we've eliminated that gap?
Anyone?
I'll be happy to take
Sure.
a shot at
Thank
it.
you.
So I would say hopefully the same metrics will no longer be there, meaning to say the comparisons, between our, groups, populations, socioeconomics and so on and so forth, meaning to say equity was built into as they come into the system. And I want to say that there is really more to access when it comes to equity. We really need to make sure that, our, citizens have access to college early on. And I think introducing them to this, I would say even middle school would be too late for this. So I would say introduction to this, the STEM initiatives, the different things that we do, inspiring them, having some hope and not giving up on college and so on. Back to the metrics, I would say hopefully there would be no gaps anymore. I think that's at least the goal for us. And I think we have promising signs so far to tell us that it can be done.
Thank you. Other Regent comments or questions? Yes, Regent Prince.
I'll be very brief. I know we're running behind. Quick comment from that little girl who grew up in the 53206 zip code area. I want to say thank you sincerely for the work that you've done. Thank you very much for working on holds, because while you don't think about it from an academic lens, that was one of the critical issues blocking students, all students from continuing their degree. So thank you for that. I think you almost answered my question, but my question was around just because superintendent doesn't have enough to do. Have you included in any of your work pre-K? Because you can start at a certain point, but you have to come in at the point where you don't always have an opportunity to make a difference. And that 2 to 5 year old gap that you see when they present to you. Have you had any discussion at all inside of the work that you're doing around that age group? Thank you.
I would just thank you for that question. I would just like to add that, yes, we have this 1825 initiative that we are working on, where we're looking at our children from birth to 3rd grade and looking at what trends need to happen around that, tracking their performance, looking at making sure that we are children teaching for mastery, to make sure that they are mastering those content areas from at the start. Because if we build a strong foundation, we're going to send students off to MATC and to UWM and all of the universities much better prepared. So if we can build that foundation, and we're wrapping a lot of safety nets around those young people to make sure that they are successful. And that is that big push that we have with ambitious instruction, math, reading and writing, and focusing on mastery.
Thank you. Time for,
If I may just
Yes,
add just
sure.
a quick comment to that. Another example of our partnership in that particular area is with the city and the county, MPS, MMAC at the table. Milwaukee Succeeds has 2 fundamental goals today: early childhood education and graduation rates for Black and Brown juniors and seniors. And those are the critical goals. We put everything else aside. So helping retain and increase the funding. This is something that's very challenging, as you know, Dr. Prince. And so we're working on it again as a powerful partnership.
thank you. One last question from Regent Jones.
Thank you, Regent President Walsh. I'm not sure who this question is for, and I'm not sure it's even answerable, but there's been the last 5 to 10 years, just incredible, fantastic, unbelievable, remarkable growth in economic development in the city of Milwaukee. And I can point to the Fiserv Forum or the Convention Center or Northwestern Mutual that announced another $500 million going into their corporate complex. How does that affect these initiatives? Is it, I mean, if at all, is it more, well, these are just departments for the elites or the quasi elites, or is it these are really creating middle-class jobs that are important for your work? So because that is such a big thing in Milwaukee the last 5 to 10 years, economic development, there must be some sort of relationship that is between these two efforts.
I'll answer just a quick comment and then have Tim start this and then others. It's all because of our partnerships. Okay, so Tim.
Oh, I just, Mark, to pick up on that, and let's just go back to the discussion that you've been having all the way through this whole thing about talent. So why would Northwestern Mutual make a $500 million investment? Why would Pfizer put their corporate headquarters down there? Why is Milwaukee Tool putting 1,200 engineers downtown? It's a simple reason. They believe that they can develop, grow, and recruit the talent that they're going to need. And so they're betting on what the work that you're doing here to help lift the talent that they're going to need. And that's why they're making those investments. And, I just use one short example because they work so well with UWM. Milwaukee Tool in 2011, 400 million in revenue, 300 employees. Today, they're almost 9 billion in revenue with almost 5,000 employees. So why are they making that investment here? Yeah, the weather's nice. We got professional sports teams. All those things are wonderful, but they're making that investment here because they can draw from the talent that's being produced here and at other universities. And that's the big reason I think they're making the investment. So they're really beneficiaries of what's happening.
Very good. Yes, Chancellor Ford.
And Regent Jones, I love your question. So thank you for that. And I really believe that the economic development growth that we're seeing throughout Southeast Wisconsin is a catalyst for our partnerships. And it is in encouraging us to scale what is working and improve what is not. So it really has served as a catalyst for us to really do things differently.
Thank you. Thank you. I think what it shows to me as I'm listening to all of you, it heightens the importance, the cruciality of what you're doing. Not to put more pressure on you, but it's really important that we do this. And I totally support your efforts. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Chancellor Mone, thank you for putting together such a terrific panel, and thank you all for your work. I would like to take time now for a 10-minute break. We will start in 10 minutes. Please be back in your seat and ready to go.
What is that on my screen? Who are you? Got this computer yesterday. I don't know what.
All right, everyone, take your seat, please. Welcome back. At this time, I'd like to recognize the distinguished contributions in service of several individuals, beginning with former State Senator Alberta Darling. Although she was not able to join us here today, I want to ask Regent Chris Peterson to read the board's resolution of appreciation for former State Senator Alberta Darling's service and support for the UW system.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is my honor to read the resolution of appreciation for former State Senator Alberta Darling. Whereas Alberta Darling has been a tireless advocate and partner for the University of Wisconsin system for more than 30 years, and whereas her passion for education led to her obtaining a degree in secondary education from UW-Madison and beginning her professional career as a teacher. And whereas, I just love that whereas, I think it's so cool. Whereas she was first elected to the State Assembly in 1990 and to the State Senate in 1992. And whereas Alberta has served in numerous leadership capacities in the legislature, including as chair of the Senate Committee on Education, as a member of the Senate Committee on Universities and Technical Colleges, and as the state's longest serving woman to co-chair the Joint Committee on Finance. And whereas her commitment to providing all Wisconsin students with the opportunity to pursue higher education motivated her co-authorship of legislation creating the state's successful college savings program, which she continued to guide in her role as a board member and past chair. And whereas her record of bipartisanship is well known and appreciated in both parties and both houses of the legislature, be it therefore resolved that the University of Wisconsin System Board of Regents offers its sincere gratitude and appreciation to Alberta Darling for her service, advocacy, and leadership on higher education policy, and be it further resolved that the Board of Regents wishes Alberta Darling continued success and happiness in the next chapter of her life as she devotes more time with her loving family and friends.
Thank you. A true champion for higher education in the state of Wisconsin. Next, it's my pleasure to welcome back our colleague Scott Beightol, whose term on the board ended in May. I'd like to call upon Regent Bob Atwell to present the board's resolution of appreciation for Regent Emeritus Beightol's service on the UW System Board of Regents.
Scott, you've been around long enough to know where are you? You've been around long enough to know that they can give me a script, but that doesn't mean I'll follow it. Scott, the customary words on these occasions cannot adequately express the respect and affection you've won from all of your fellow regents. It is my honor to give voice to the thoughts of our minds and the impulses of our hearts. When I think over the time we've spent together, these are some of the words and memories that come to mind. You're a person of strong conviction, and you listen to, respect, and are influenced by the diversity of people we encounter in this work. As the years went by, I marveled at your command of the details and the tremendous volume of material presented for each of these meetings. You are every inch the top flight lawyer who has command of the case file. Your legal training and experience do not prevent you from seeing through to the human heart of the matters that come before this board. Everything that we touch in this work reflects real people in real ways, and you never lose sight of that. You bear the burden of these responsibilities with a calm presence, very temperate expression, and great clarity spiced with your timely wit. There are times in this role where judgments must be exercised with incomplete knowledge. This is where your diligence and your judicious temperament shine. We will really miss that. When we undertake this work, we invest time that takes us away from other activities and people. You are a practicing lawyer in high demand with an appropriately high billing rate. And the fact that the opportunity cost of your time is so readily quantifiable makes your contribution all the more commendable. I'm sure that your clients and your firm are pleased that your Regent career is winding down. I am not. It is with heartfelt gratitude that we reluctantly return this time to your family, your colleagues, and the clients that you treasure. One more thing. This may have sounded a little like a eulogy, but it's actually a commendation. Therefore, we need not await the resurrection in order to enjoy your return. Thank you and Godspeed, Scott. Resolution of appreciation, Regent Scott Beightol. Whereas Scott Beightol has served the citizens of Wisconsin with distinguished leadership during his 4.5 years on the University of Wisconsin System Board of Regents from 2018 to 2023. And whereas Scott was a staunch supporter of President Rothman's 2023-28 strategic plan and championed advancing excellence, affordability, and accessibility for UW students while retaining faculty and staff talent and enabling the UW system to use taxpayer dollars and other resources as efficiently as possible for an excellent return on investment for UW students and the broader community. And whereas Scott showed his commitment to the UW system's tradition of sound stewardship and financial preparedness through his service as chair and vice chair of the Business and Finance Committee. And whereas Scott served on numerous other standing committees, including capital planning and budgeting, personnel matters review, serving 4 years as chair, student discipline and other student appeals, and the Special Regent Committee on Governance Issues, and additionally served as the Regent member of the Hospital Authority Board and the liaison to the Association of Governing Boards. And whereas Scott chaired the Chancellor Search Committee for UW River Falls, served on Chancellor Search Committees for UW Green Bay and UW-Platteville, and served on the Special Regent Committee of the 2021-22 UW System Presidential Search, And whereas Scott served on the Academic Staff Excellent Awards Committee to shine a spotlight on the exceptional contributions academic staff make to student success, and served 2 years on the University Staff Excellence Awards Committee to recognize the exceptional performance among the UW system's more than 8,000 staff in support of student success. And whereas Scott can personally attest to the quality of UW education, having earned his law degree from the University of Wisconsin Law School, which prepared him for an accomplished career as an attorney, complemented by a lifetime of civic engagement, as he generously donates his time and skills through serving on community boards and as a member of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce National Public Affairs Committee. Be it therefore resolved, the University of Wisconsin System Board of Regents commends Regent Scott Beightol for his achievements as a member of the UW Board of Regents.
Well, that was quite a bit there, Bob. I've organized this as thank yous, accomplishments, and then warning about future trends. A little past, present, and future. So on the thank yous, of course, I wouldn't be a regent without the appointment by Governor Walker, so I thank him. I thank the Wisconsin Senate under the then leadership of Leader Scott Fitzgerald for their confirmation. I appreciate the opportunity to serve. But boy, the pay is lousy, but the work is really stimulating. So that's good. Bob, you have become a friend. We didn't know each other until I joined this board, and you become a friend. I think we all see in Bob a keen financial mind. Bob speaks directly, and Bob speaks to and engages in spaces that are not comfortable. But he probes and he offers discussion on topics that need analysis and action. Bob is principled and compassionate. His faith directs his actions, and it's obvious to all of us. So thank you, Bob. Now, I do think Bob is still waiting on some COVID reports. I think too, Bob, we're all waiting for some updated financial reporting, but it's gotten better. And Sean Nelson, where are you, Sean? Okay, he's in your corner, so that's going to improve. Chris Peterson, inquisitive, instinctual, cares about people, especially the students and faculty, and brings a common sense farmer's perspective. God bless you, Chris. Regent Jones, steady, smart, and strategic. He reminds us what it means to be a board member and not have our hands in the operations. It's important to lead and give strategy, but let the other folks get out of their way and let them do what needs to be done. You're a great partner. You're a clear communicator. You're ready with a joke. I will miss, though, on the social side, Mr. Jones's famous Irish goodbyes from our receptions. So go to reception tonight, about 45 minutes later, say, where the hell's Jones? Regents Rye, Weatherly, and Cologne. You are each very passionate in your viewpoints. You are focused on student success, and you do the work. You're willing to advocate with urgency for our other R1, this great but fragile UWM that serves the economic engine of our state. It does better than any other campus in access mission and deserves more funding. It should be funded more like an R1. I was happy to get in good trouble with each one of you. Chancellors Alexander, Ivanovich, and Gallo, and you as well, President Rothman. I was pleased to serve as on the Regent Select Committee to hire each of you. You each distinguish yourselves. You earned the position. I'll always share a very special bond with you. Now don't screw up. Chancellors Monet and Manukin, you are each brilliant and effective leaders. You advocate for your campuses, especially for your students, your faculty, and the life-changing research that is done on these campuses. And you understand and work for, just as you heard today, the talent pipeline to grow this state and improve our knowledge economy. I'm just a call away, so please call me. I do consider each of you a very good colleague and friend. System presidents. I came in 2018 and Ray Cross was our system president. He answered my dumb questions and he was kind to the new guy. Tommy Thompson led us through COVID and kept the campuses together and open and kept us all together. And now Jay. Jay has recognized very quickly the challenges present and ahead and has, I believe, the intellect, team building skills, the long view, but also the business sense and decisiveness. These are traits we're going to need to lead the UW system towards future success. The senior staff at UW system. All right, you give us way too much information. There's way too much homework. There's too much reading, but this is, after all, a very complex institution. But you do help us be the fiduciary that we must be in this position. We have to be knowledgeable. We have to have access to all needed information, and then let us set the policy. Special thanks to you, Jess. I came in at a rough time. You remember those times. You welcomed me. You spent time answering my questions. You helped me feel like I belonged here. And I'll always admire your knowledge and especially your kindness. And your time management and keeping these meetings running. Don't mess with Jess. And now Megan, I see you taking on that role. And thanks to you as well. You keep us well prepared. Now, given my business and finance and capital committee assignments, I have special thanks to Alex Rowe, Rob Kramer, and Sean Nelson. Each of you are smart, capable, and you care about the mission. You're each extremely knowledgeable, and you know how to get things done. And you are always willing to give me the straight scoop and the straight information so I could get to those other layers to be a better regent. So I thank you for that. And given my law background and the many legal issues that a big complicated systems like ours faces, Quinn, thank you for your guidance. You kept me out of trouble, mostly. And thanks too for seeking my guidance and opinion. Great lawyers have confidence to confab with trusted colleagues, and I consider you a trusted colleague. And the region presidents I served with, John Belling, Drew Peterson, Ed Minideeds, sorry, Ed's not here with us today, and Karen Walsh. You entrusted me with important committee assignments, projects, and finally, hey, why don't you do that undue tuition freeze thing? Would you do that, Scott? I hope I served you well. I hope that I was prepared, that I was willing to advocate for the good and to do so with empathy and evidence. And Karen, wow. What you give to all of us, your time and your talent, it is unique, and we are lucky, very lucky to have you as our leader. So thank you. Now to some accomplishments. This body is nonpartisan. Now, in the last 2 years, we had one conservative governor's rightful appointees roll off, and the liberal governor's rightful appointees roll on. That's a perfect recipe for divisiveness, for petty politics, for gotcha rhetorical skirmishes. Since 2018, I have never experienced that with my colleagues. I venture, I know, we are unique from any other statewide representative body here in Wisconsin. To be collegial while from different perspectives, that is a fragile state. I ask that you honor it, that you foster it, and you protect it. Number two, since 2018, when I joined, the Regents have now become much more deliberative. There's more open discussion, there's more challenging the status quo, there's more questioning of process and events on campuses. We're not scripted as we once were. And thank you, Jay and Karen, for that. I urge each of you to be frank and open in your discussions, challenge ideas and results, but never one another. We're all coming at this from the same place. We want to do good. And then lock it in with a vote.
The vote's important. I know Regent Rye has some things on the agenda for us that are very important to lock in on the capital process. And then join together, announce your outcome with a fact-based unified voice. Number 3 accomplishment. We have since 2018 passed a number of reforms that empower the chancellors, that speed up some processes and unencumber you as regents from review and votes on what had been operational concerns. For my first years, most of our meeting time was spent on presentation and votes on operational matters. An example that we've done is we increased the dollar amount of a research project or even a continuation of one. That allows faster initiation of research projects at Madison and our other campuses. It gets the dollars flowing, it lowers the bureaucracy, and it is a good. It also has freed us up for more strategic thinking as a Board of Regents, gives us more policy focus, more future state analysis, planning, and execution. On business and finance, which I chaired, and Mike, you and I co-chaired together, we passed over 20 or so such reforms just in the last 2 years. And again, Sean, appreciate all the good work we did there. So what lies ahead? I'll offer some warnings and some opinions. Opinions which are my own. They have not been vetted nor approved. Karen said, buckle up. Number 1, the regents, system, and chancellors. You need to act with more urgency. You need to act or others will act for you, or events will dictate your results. Too many campuses are in financial distress. Now, maybe the overdue resident tuition increases and maybe what the legislature decides on the budget, especially with pay plan, very important, will deliver enough revenue to our campuses, but I doubt it. We need to quickly address how to increase our revenue streams and add to our enrollment and simultaneously re-examine spending and make necessary changes. We can't afford to fund what isn't growing. We need to make better use of our facilities, and we should definitely increase our partners, as I know we are, with business and industry who want access to our faculty and students. And we need to make sure we execute on the strategic plan. All of this that I've spoken of is in the plan. Good boards will hammer on their strategic plan. They make it part of each meeting. We pass the plan, now you execute on it. Number 2, embrace the importance and distinguishing characteristics and offerings of the R1. We have 2 research R1 institutions. One, Madison, is thriving, but needs targeted attention and support. The other, UWM, is fragile and needs immediate aid. I'm not suggesting you feed one and starve the other. Feed them both. We need more research dollars in our state. We need more talented faculty and students performing research and securing the next new ideas and innovations to improve our lives and deliver back to the economy of scale to our state. In particular, UWM serves the economic engine of our state, and employers from Kenosha up to Green Bay are all calling out for more engineers, programmers, and data scientists, finance and business grads, teachers, healthcare workers, nurses, engineers. UWM can and should be funded less like a comprehensive and more like Madison as an R1. I realize this is a heavy lift, but we did start this work a year ago, and it's time to execute and finish on it. I urge you to take that on and finish the job. Let's make UWM a North Carolina State, a Georgia Tech, a Florida State, an Arizona State, or a Texas A&M. Wisconsin needs and deserves 2 quality R1s in our state. We need to compete with these other states and grow our population and our economy. Number 3, once we pass the budget, and it will be passed maybe later this summer, or later this month, or later this summer, let's get after the bonding authority. We need to allow the universities, especially Madison, to control their campuses on capital projects and save taxpayers dollars on capital projects. I urge you also to go to the legislators and make the case for the tuition promise. Nothing says DEI or belonging like, here's some financial support because we want you at one of our universities. Underserved students in Wisconsin would rather have help with their tuition and get a job than a counselor. Other conservative states like Florida, Texas, Ohio, and others help their young citizens access their public higher education universities. This will help Wisconsin end our brain drain of young talent and encourage Wisconsin youth to stay in state, get a great education, have a great career, and become a taxpayer. Number 4, and this is my last. Regents need to understand, embrace, and protect their statutory functions. Years ago, the legislature created the system and entrusted you, the regents, to run it. There have been very few amendments since the 70s. Folks, you own the curriculum, not legislators in Madison. You determine staff, not legislators in Madison. You protect free speech, free expression, and research and the educational mission and the search toward the truth. No one else. So I urge you to own what is yours, be active and responsible stewards, and do it in a way that is consistent with the values and sensibilities of your fellow citizens. There is a balance there. I believe our mission, as I know you do, is to provide access to a set of universities that best educate and illuminate our students, to provide a pipeline of talented professionals to fuel economic growth, solve problems, and feed our souls. We see firsthand the transformational empowerment a college or graduate degree provides. We need tradespeople, service workers, and production workers, yes, but this state needs more college-educated persons and an improved knowledge economy. Especially now, think about this, especially now, as we onshore manufacturing and technology in a far more dangerous world and provide for ourselves a more reliable, self-sustaining future for Americans and Wisconsinites. Proudly advocate for the value of a college or graduate degree. Don't be shy, don't be apologetic, and let's ensure access to public higher education and all that it unlocks for every young person or other in Wisconsin that wants that opportunity, that they can reach for it and earn it. I've said too much. I haven't said enough. Now, I did have a short discussion in full disclosure with Jay before this, and I said, Jay, I got a short version or a long version. Jay said, go long. So I went long. I am a little worried though. I don't know, should I turn on my pass key now? The security key? Not sure why security is coming right now, but anyway, Wisconsin stole my heart decades ago. I met the love of my life at Wisconsin Law School, and Desiree and I love to return to the campus in that wonderful city. And now the UW system and all the campuses, each and every one of them, have left their mark. I only aspire that in some small way, I paid it forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Regent Beightol, for your thoughtful remarks. And just think now when someone at the board calls, first we kill all the lawyers, you won't be there. Little Shakespeare joke. All right, finally, the time has come for us to say goodbye to UW-Parkside Chancellor Debbie Ford as she prepares to take on her new position as Chancellor of Indiana University Southeast. And how lucky are they to have her? It's my pleasure to share that this board voted in April to confer the status of Chancellor Emeritus on Debbie Ford in recognition of her many contributions to UW-Parkside and the UW system. Joining us today to help say farewell is former interim system president and Regent Emeritus, Michael Falbo. Regent Emeritus Falbo, here he comes.
You just can't get rid of me. As hard as you try. What a day. I'm really happy to be here to speak about and honor my dear friend Debbie. I'm not so happy that she's leaving, but I will always support her and her decisions. Congratulations to Debbie. Where is Debbie? Oh, to Debbie and John, new grandparents for about almost 6 weeks. And congratulations on the beginning of a new chapter and challenge in your personal and professional life. I met Debbie in 2009 as I chaired the Special Regent Committee to hire the 6th Chancellor of the University of Wisconsin-Parkside. I remember to this day the positive impact she had on our committee and the excitement she generated. And in hindsight, the positive impact and excitement have only increased. She always accused me of being her mentor. But I can tell you, at some point in time, those roles reversed. Especially when I was interim president, and she told me very often what to do and how to do it. Always what I thought was a smile on her face. Debbie has not only positively impacted the University of Wisconsin-Parkside, she has positively impacted the University of Wisconsin system and the state of Wisconsin. We look for many qualities in hiring a chancellor. As time has passed, community engagement and partnership building in the region has moved up the list of importance. When we hired Debbie, we thought this might be an area of concern. And as happens very, very often, we were 100% wrong. What she has done so successfully is transform lives, and believe me, not just students. She's achieved sustainable growth, not just numbers, but community impact and economic growth. Now, this is from Sheila. I have watched her interact with the students and connect with the businesses and people of Kenosha. I have watched her support her staff and professors. She is very good at her job, and our university will be forever better because of the time she has spent here. I will forever remember our trip through Italy with our husbands discussing politics in the back seat of our van. Believe me, we did not agree on one thing. We plan to make a few trips to Southern Indiana in the near future. I am going to miss you, my friends. That was from Sheila. I'm going to miss you too. If I could sum up what I think the greatest lesson Debbie leaves us with, it is, you will never lose. You will either win or learn. It's painful now to show you this, but when I was a regent and we'd go to different campuses, I would always buy a sweatshirt or a vest or something with their name on it. And I'm real proud of that collection. But I can't, this is just, it's horrible. I've kept it covered, but it will go with my collection proudly. Debbie Ford, thank you. Thank you for being a friend and for all you've contributed to the UW system in Wisconsin.
Thank you, Regent Emeritus Michael Falbo. I now call upon Regent Jen Staton to present the board's resolution of appreciation.
Hello. To follow Mike, I just want to say thank you, Chancellor Ford. Without your guidance or easily approachable nature, I don't think I would have been able to accept your support to be able to feel comfortable here. So thank you. And that's throughout the campus too. I definitely got to see that as a regent, and I'm very fortunate. So thank you so much, Regent or Chancellor Ford. Okay. Resolution of appreciation for Deborah Ford. Whereas Deborah L. Debbie Ford dedicated more than 13 years of service as the 6th Chancellor of the University of Wisconsin-Parkside from 2009 to 2023. And whereas Debbie emphasized all that makes UW-Parkside an inclusive learning community that inspires achievement as she championed UW-Parkside's vision to be a premier regional university transforming lives, achieving a sustainable growth and advancing economic strength through community engagement and partnerships. And whereas led the university's strategic efforts to generate student success and increase the number of graduates. And as first-generation college student herself, Debbie was proud that UW-Parkside traditionally serves a majority of first-generation university students, with close to 60% of graduates each year being the first in their families to earn a university degree. And whereas on behalf of UW-Parkside, Debbie accepted the 2022 Excellence in Innovation Award for Student Success in College Completion by the American Association of State Colleges and Universities in recognition of the significant improvement in student completion rates and under her tenure for one of the most diverse universities in UW system. And whereas Debbie was esteemed for being an articulate, thoughtful, and passionate leader whose personal touch connected her with the community and students, and she was especially honored to receive the prestigious Salute to Catholic School Alumni Award in Louisville, Kentucky in 2022, an award presented by the Catholic Education Foundation to recognize individuals for their leadership and dedication to community and service. And whereas Debbie actively engaged with the wider community, including the Kenosha Area Business Alliance and the Racine County Economic Development Corporation, and was selected by the Kenosha mayor to serve as the founding president of the Kenosha Innovation Neighborhood to transform more than 100 acres into an innovation district. And whereas Debbie was recognized in 2014 by the Network for Change and Continuous Innovation as one of the 3 recipients of the inaugural Leaders of Change Recognition Program Award and the 2015, the Milwaukee Business Journal honored Debbie with its Women of Influence Award. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Regents of the University of Wisconsin System hereby offers thanks and commendation to Chancellor Emerita Debbie Ford for achievements as Chancellor of UW-Parkside and wishes her well as she prepares to lead Indiana University Southeast.
Get over here, girl.
You can have it. I'm not gonna wear it.
Yeah. We didn't break the. Thank you. Thank you. Let's set this back here. This one.
Wow. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Regent Falbo, for giving me this honor of serving as the 6th Chancellor at UW-Parkside. So Regent President Walsh, Regent Rothman, or President Rothman, excuse me, Regents Falbo, Staton, Regents, and certainly colleagues in the UW system, and my colleague, chancellors and provost and guest. Thank you for your kind words and recognition of all that we have accomplished at the University of Wisconsin-Parkside. It has been my honor to serve as Chancellor at UW-Parkside, and I could not be prouder of our progress. When I said yes to President Riley in May 2009, the focus on at the University of Wisconsin was to grow people, grow jobs, and grow communities. But we have done so much more. We have grown relationships, partnerships, and have transformed lives. I am so grateful for the opportunity to serve and to lead as one of UW's chancellors. It is not work when you love what you do and when you get to see learning in action every day. It is easy when you place students at the center of decision-making and when you remain committed to creating a diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just learning environment. My priority as chancellor has been to create and to sustain an optimal learning environment so everyone, our faculty, staff, students, community members, and alumni can do their best work. I have learned a lot as chancellor over these past 14 years, and I have stayed because of the inspiring people I have come to know and to work with. I could share a personal story of how everyone here has positively impacted my life or has helped me to grow as a person and as a leader. For fear of leaving individuals out and certainly to keep my remarks brief, please know that I am grateful for all of our interactions and appreciate how you have enriched my life. But I do have a few group thank yous and requests. So to my colleague chancellors and UW system colleagues, thank you for your partnerships and mentorship. Fully embrace your roles as stewards of the Wisconsin idea and continue to lead as champions of student success. As one of my mentors taught me at his presidential teach-in with me in 2009, remember, remain calm, absorb chaos, and give back hope. This is what we must do as leaders today. To our regents, thank you for visiting our campuses, asking the tough questions, championing the uniqueness of each of our campuses, as this is one of the key strengths of the University of Wisconsin. I appreciate how you support us and advocate for the Wisconsin idea, and thank you for leading as stewards of this great university. To our partners in state government, the University of Wisconsin continues to lead as the economic engine for this great state of Wisconsin. Through extensive partnerships in our respective regions and through the successes of our graduates, we provide the greatest returns on the state's investments. It is my hope that you will invest even more in the transformative power of higher education in the UW. Now is the time, and we appreciate your partnership. To my HERA, Moonshot, community and business industry partners, thank you so much for the partnerships. And thank you for hiring our students and our graduates as interns and employees. As we like to say at Parkside, when those folks hire our grads, they are powered by Parkside. To our faculty and our staff, thank you for delivering on all aspects of our mission in teaching, research, and service. You have fully embraced your role in taking education and service to all parts of our state and transforming the lives of our students. And to our students and alumni, thank you for saying yes to UW and for enriching our learning environments. You, as students and alumni, continue to bring us great joy as you learn, grow, and contribute. So even though I will always be a champion for the Wisconsin idea and the work on all of our campuses, it is UW-Parkside that holds an incredibly special place in my heart. It is the people of Parkside who make our university the best place to learn, to grow, to contribute, and to transform. The relationships I have established with our students, faculty, staff, alumni, donors, community partners, business and industry leaders, and educational partners have made my time as chancellor even more fulfilling and inspirational. So, as we look forward, remember, it is our shared passion for the Wisconsin idea that binds us together, and one that I know lives on as we advance the mission of the University of Wisconsin. As an educator, I gave homework at my Looking Forward celebration, and I want to share some of these with you. as we look forward to brighter futures for the University of Wisconsin and, of course, UW-Parkside. So first, be loud and proud supporters of the UW and, of course, my home institution, UW-Parkside. Tell your stories often so everyone can experience what we know and believe about our great university. Keep leading, partnering, and collaborating with the communities we serve as they are relying on us as committed partners. ABA, always be asking for support, asking for ideas, asking for help, and of course, asking for money so that we can do our best work. Did I say invest in the UW as the return on investment leads to incredible returns? Embrace learning, as this is why we have all chosen to lead and to work at a university. And last, take time to listen and to see all of our students and members of our learning community. It is the individual interactions that have the most meaning, and too often we do not know the impact of these connections. So as an example, last week I received a 2.5-page letter from one of our amazing alumni who now works for UW-Parkside. She shared her UW-Parkside journey of how she started as a student early in my tenure at Parkside. And she reminded me of how important it is to be visible as a leader and to be truly present. She noted in this letter, and I quote, "For you to see us, for you to see me, even when I felt invisible as one single student on this campus. It's not an exaggeration to say that changed the trajectory of my life." End quote. I saw her, a shy undergraduate, and now I see a bold leader who is championing student success. I have had the honor to lead a university that transformed. I have had the honor of leading a university that transforms lives. And the most repeated phrase that I hear from our over 30,000 alumni is, "If not for Parkside." If not for Parkside. So thank you. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for sharing a part of your lives with me. I may be leaving this position, but I am not leaving the relationships. Today, after 14 wonderful, inspiring, action-oriented, and meaningful years, and a few that were really hard, I know that the University of Wisconsin-Parkside remains a beautiful place to learn, a vibrant place to grow, a place where individual and collective contributions matter, a special place to share talents, a learning environment where dreams come true, and an inspiring place to work. I am ready to embrace my new titles as UW-Parkside Chancellor Emerita. Thank you very much. As honorary UW-Parkside alumna, class of 2023, Chancellor of IU Southeast, and most important, grandparent. Thank you for the honor of serving as the 6th Chancellor of the University of Wisconsin-Parkside, and I look forward to watching UW-Parkside reach even higher heights under the leadership of Interim Chancellor Minke, and of course, under the leadership of the 7th Chancellor to be selected. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Chancellor Ford. You will be missed. Now we're about to enter into closed session. May I have Regent Vice President Bogus, please read the motion to move into closed session.
I move that the Board of Regents move into closed session to consider a student request for review of a UW Whitewater decision as permitted by section 1985, parent 1, parent A, F, and G of the Wisconsin statutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Megan, please call the roll.
Regent President Walsh,
Yes.
Regent Vice President Bogus,
Yes.
Regent Adams,
Yes.
Regent Atwell, Regent Brankus,
Yes.
Regent Cologne,
Yes.
Regent Jones. Regent Jones,
Yes.
Regent Cruiser,
Yes.
Regent Many Deeds, Regent Miller. Regent Miller,
Yes.
Regent Peterson,
Yes.
Regent Prince,
Yes.
Regent Rye,
Yes.
Regent Staton, Regent Tyler, Regent Underly, Regent Wax,
Yes.
Regent Weatherly.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll just wait until we have confirmation the lines are clear.